Okay, we're on. So I'm just waiting for it to come up.
It's on
Yeah.
for me.
Oh, you're seeing it already? You were seeing it already on YouTube? Oh my goodness. So in India, you're getting it before I'm getting it in Maryland. That's really great.
So cool. And it's,
Okay.
so we have a saying that anything can happen in India.
Anything in India. Boy, do I ever agree with that. Okay, so for our YouTube audience, we're continuing. Khushboo and I are continuing with our reading of the Bhagavad Gita. And today we're going to read Discourse 5, verses 1 through 12. And so I'm reading from the Penguin Classic, the Bhagavad Gita, which contains the Bhagavad Gita in verse, which it originally was. And then I'm reading from the SkyLight Paths version of the Bhagavad Gita, which contains the Gita in prose. And then the third time I'm reading it from the Bhagavad Gita by R.K. Sharma, translation by R.K. Sharma, with Carol Pitts and Les Morgan. And this third one is quite a scholarly version. So if you don't have a Bhagavad Gita and you want to know which one to get first, I would recommend this one by Les Morgan, or I'm sorry, by R.K. Sharma. And the companion book is The Study Guide to the Bhagavad Gita by Les Morgan. Okay, so that's my recommendation. But if that is, you're not a Sanskrit reader. If you're a Sanskrit reader, then read it in Sanskrit. It'll be better that way. Don't you think so, Khushboo? If you read Sanskrit, you should read it in Sanskrit. Yes? No?
Yeah, but nowadays only scholarlies know Sanskrit. Like,
Only scholars know Sanskrit. Okay.
yeah, I would say if you know like any native Indian language, it's Tamil, Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, whatever. That would be the English translation is the worst way to start Bhagavad Gita. That I would definitely say.
Yeah, you're saying that English translation is the worst way to start.
Yeah, if you know any native English language, like any native Indian language.
Yeah, then go to that first. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like you have no choice.
I have no choice.
So people like you will have 3 books. You understand? Then you will be able to make sense of it.
Yeah, that's right. And because all these translations are slightly different, and I have no hope of being as scholarly as Les Morgan at this point in my life. So therefore, I have to rely on people who are scholars, genuine scholars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And for, to all their credit, to all their dignity and respect, that's it.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Okay. So we are going to read from the 5th discourse of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 1 through 12. Slok 1.
Sanyasah krumana Krishna Punayorga cha sanshati Achheya etyoreka tanme bruhi sunishchitama. Slok 1.
Arjuna said, Krishna, you praise the renunciation of actions. Then again, you praise yoga. Which one is better of these two? Tell this to me once and for all. And the prose reads, My Lord, at one moment you praise renunciation of action, at another right action. Tell me truly, I pray, which of these is the more conducive to my highest welfare? And the R.K. Sharma translation reads, O Krishna, you advocate renunciation of action, samanyasa, and then again detached performance of action, yoga. Tell me very definitively which one of these two is superior. And the footnote for this slok 1 says, traditionally, the ideal fourth stage of life is called samyasa asrama. A person in this stage is free from all worldly responsibilities and does not even perform routine rituals such as offering oblations to the fire, nor cook food for himself or herself. However, Shri Krishna's view is that a samyasin or yogin can lead a worldly life, fulfilling the responsibilities for which he or she is competent. According to Shri Krishna, a person can be recognized as a samyasin or yogin if they perform duties just as anyone else might, but with no attachment to the fruits of the action. And reference C verses 6:1 and 18:1 and 2. Slok 2.
संन्यासः कर्मयोगश्च निहि श्रेयस्करावुभौ तयोस्तु कर्मसन्न्यासात्मयोगो विशिष्यते.
The Blessed One said, both renunciation and the yoga of action lead to the highest bliss. But of the two, the yoga of action is better than renunciation. The prose reads, renunciation of action and the path of right action both lead to the highest of the two. Right action is the better. And R.K. Sharma says, renunciation of action, samyasa, and detached performance of action, karma yoga, are both conducive to attainment of the highest bliss. But of the two, detached performance of action is superior to renunciation of action. Slok 3.
Jaya sa dityasyasi yo na deshti na kandakshati nimtrasindo hi mahabaho sukha bandhat papramuchayate. Slok 3.
Strong-armed one. The one who neither hates nor desires should be known as the eternal renouncer, the one for whom opposites are the same, easily freed from bondage. The prose reads, he is a true ascetic who never desires or dislikes, who is uninfluenced by the opposites and easily freed from bondage. The footnote reads, ascetic, samyasin, renouncer. The samyasins of various Hindu sects break all ties with social customs and institutions, abandon worldly possessions and comforts, shave their heads and go naked, or wear ochre garments, and wander from place to place, begging for their food. The Gita contrasts the true samyasin with those who merely follow this external lifestyle while remaining attached to their likes and dislikes. And the Sharma says, that person who neither hates nor desires should be known as a person of constant renunciation, truly free from duality. One is easily released One is easily released from bondage, O long-armed one. Sloka 4.
Sandakha yogo pruthak pradanti na panditaha ekamaya sthitaha smabhu bhayo vidante phalama. So,
Foolish ones say Samkhya and yoga are separate ideas, but the pandits don't. When just one is practiced rightly, one finds the fruit of both. And the footnote reads, the prose reads, only the unenlightened speak of wisdom and right action as separate, not the wise. If any man knows one, he enjoys the fruit of both. And the footnote reads, wisdom and right action, Samkhya and yoga, the two traditional Hindu philosophical systems discussed in chapter 2. The Sharma reads, childish people, not the wise, consider the path of knowledge, Samkhya, and the path of detached action, yoga, as different. A person who properly adopts even one path finds the fruits of both. Sloka 5.
yatsandakhe prapyate sthana tadhogairapi gamyate eka sadakha cha yoga cha yah paschyati sa paschyati. Look 5.
Those who practice yoga reach the place attained by those who practice Samkhya. The one who sees that Samkhya and yoga are one sees rightly. The prose reads, the level which is reached by wisdom is attained through right action as well. He who perceives that the two are one knows truth. R.K. Sharma says, the state attained by those on the path of knowledge is the very same as that reached by karma yogins. On the path of detached action, one who sees the path of knowledge and the path of action as one really sees. Sloka 6.
Sannyas sastu mahabaho dukhamaptu mayogatah yogayukto muni brahma nachirenadhi gacchati. Sloka 6.
Strong-armed one, without yoga, renunciation is indeed hard to achieve. The sage who is joined to yoga reaches Brahman in no time at all. The prose reads, without concentration, O mighty man, renunciation is difficult, but the sage who is always meditating on the divine before long attained the absolute. R.K. Sharma says, O long-armed one, it is truly difficult to attain renunciation without karma, yoga, detached performance of action. Disciplined in karma yoga, a spiritual aspirant attains Brahman without delay. Sloka 7.
Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyah sarvabhutatma kurva pannapi na lipyate. Slok 7.
Even when acting, one is not defiled when joined to yoga with a pure self, a controlled self, whose senses are conquered and whose being is the self of all beings. He who is spiritual, who is pure, who has overcome his senses and his personal self, who has realized his highest self as the self of all, such a one, even though he acts, is not bound by his acts. And this footnote reads, literally, yoked to yoga. The Sharma reads, disciplined in karma yoga, having the mind purified, having self-control, having controlled the senses, having identified the individual self with the self of all beings, even while performing detached action, one remains untainted. And the footnote in the Sharma reads, self-control, vijitanta tamtama, means control of oneself with ability to focus the mind and direct the movements of the body. Slok 8.
8 and 9 are together.
8 and 9 are together, okay.
Neva kinchi chatako ro miti yuktoe manyeta tatva vita paschashru vanas pushya jidda dhanashyana tacha svapashvata vasana pralapanni sujanyu gunu गृहनु मीक्षणिपि इन्द्रियाणि निन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तनत इति धारयन्. Slok 8 and 9.
When seeing or hearing, touching or smelling, eating or walking, sleeping or breathing, the one joined to yoga who knows truth thinks, I am not doing anything at all. Chattering, letting go, grasping, opening the eyes and shutting the eyes, that one holds the thought. The senses dwell in their objects. Verse 7 or 8 and 9 in the prose. Though the saint sees, hears, touches, smells, eats, moves, sleeps, and breathes, yet he knows the truth, and he knows that it is not he who acts. Though he talks, though he gives and receives, though he opens his eyes and shuts them, he still knows that his senses are merely disporting themselves among the objects of perception. And there's a footnote, saint, tattva vid, knower of truth. And the Sharma reads, one who knows the truth, who is devoted to yoga, should think, I do not do anything at all, even while seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving, sleeping, breathing, speaking, releasing, grasping, opening, and closing the eyes, convinced that the senses and motor organs are operating on their objects. And there's a footnote. I beg your pardon, there is not a footnote. The nice thing about the Sharma text is it translates every word with multiple translations so that you can get the essence of what's meant. Slok 10. Can't hear you, Khushboo.
ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि तदंह त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन ब्रह्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा. Slok 10.
Just as a lotus leaf is not wet by water, when one has let go of clinging and placed actions in Brahman, one who acts is not defiled by evil. Prose, verse 10. He who dedicates his actions to the Spirit without any personal attachment to them, he is no more tainted by sin than the water lily is wetted by water. There are 2 footnotes. After Spirit, dedicates his actions to the Spirit suggests that all acts should be performed as offerings for the sake of God. Some translators render the phrase as casting all actions on Brahman or reposing all actions on Brahman. Ramanuja understands this as meaning we should realize that everything proceeds from Brahman, while we ourselves do nothing. Professor Edgerton agrees, reasoning, since Brahman or God is all acts must really be done by him, and this despite the fact that elsewhere we are told often and clearly enough that all actions are done by Prakriti, or so it appears to the limited mind. From the vantage point of awakened consciousness, God alone is, yet God does nothing, and everything that happens is ultimately an illusion. In order to arrive at this realization, however, we need to renounce our sense of being the doer, and one way to accomplish this is to carry out our duties with the attitude that it is the indwelling God who is getting them done through us. And the second footnote, which is after water lily, literally a lotus leaf. The lotus, a plant of the water lily family, has its roots in the mud, but its blossom and leaves remain pure and unaffected as they float on top of the water. The lotus is thus a favorite symbol of the detachment of being in the world, but not of it. In the world, but not of it. In verse 10, having relinquished attachment, one who acts, dedicating actions to Brahman, is not tainted by sin, just as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. Slok 11.
Kayena manasa buddhadhya kevaleri indriyerapi yoginah karma karvanti tadandha tyakyatva vasasva suddhiye. Slok 11.
When they have let go of clinging, those who practice yoga undertake action to purify the self with body, mind, and insight, even with just the senses. The prose reads, the sage performs his action dispassionately, using his body, mind, and intellect, and even his senses, always as a means of purification. Sharma reads, having set aside attachment, yogins perform action for purification of the self with the body, with the mind, with the intellect, and even merely with the senses and motor organs. Slope 12.
Yuktakaha karma phala tyaktva shanti mapnoti neshtita kema ayuktakaha kamakarena phale sat ko nibadhyate. Slope 12.
When one has let go of the fruits of action, one joined to yoga gains full peace. The one not joined to yoga, clinging to the fruit, is bound by actions of desire. Verse 12. Having abandoned the fruit of action, he wins eternal peace. Others unacquainted with spirituality, led by desire and clinging to the benefit which they think will follow their actions, become entangled in them. The Sharma reads, a disciplined person, having set aside attachment to the results of actions, attains perfect peace. An undisciplined one, driven by desire for the results of actions, subjects himself to bondage. And there is a footnote. The literal meaning of yukta is joined. Here it has the sense of a disciplined person. The word is used more than once in the text, sometimes with different shades of meaning. And I noted that Miles has asked us a question. The title of this session, The Renunciation of Action, strikes me as an incorrect or inappropriate title. Good action is superior than just renunciation of an injustice. Thoughts? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Can you repeat that for me, please?
Okay, he says, the title of this session, The Renunciation of Action, strikes me as an incorrect or inappropriate title. Good action is superior than just renunciation of injustice. Thoughts?
I kind of agree with him. But I think I see where he's coming from. I kind of agree with him.
Yeah. So, Miles, I want to share with you an image here, which I brought along for the occasion. This is an image of the Buddha. And the Buddha went through a period of renunciation. And as a result of that period of renunciation, as you can see, he's very, very skinny, so that his ribs are showing and all his bones are showing. And what he learned was that just the pure renunciation of action and eating only the very minimum and so on only made his body weak, but it didn't make his spirituality better. And so he actually renounced renunciation and went back to a balanced life. So I think we have to think in terms of balance here. Sean Steele says, I had an interesting thought experiment before I fell asleep last night. There were two people who had unique abilities. One was to create anything material of earth, and one to create light. Yep, that's very interesting. Both people are the same person. Miles says, American sociologist and World War II veteran Sheldon Wolin concluded that passivity will be the cause of the downfall of civilization. Yes, quite so. That's the point.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's the meaning of what I said about the Buddha. And by the way, that image of the Buddha is in Pakistan. It is in the Lahore Museum. And I once visited the Lahore Museum and took my own photograph of this image, and I put it um, on my shelf in front of my eyes for about 20 years to remind myself that total renunciation isn't the answer. And Sean says, at first everyone was amazed by the person who created matter because he could make mountains, but eventually people grew tired of him. The person of light had the power of color, and thus, even though the mountains would bend their peaks to him, and thus even the mountains would bend their peaks to him. Okay, so so the person of matter makes mountains, and the person of light makes color for the rainbow or the sunset or sunrise. But it's the balance of the two, we need both, that bring the truth, not only the matter. And that's the shortcoming of materialism. I told I I told Khushboo a story about how when I first went to India, I was trying to save money by staying in business hotels that were sufficient for lower class Indian businessmen, very cheap hotels, very inexpensive. And the first one I stayed in had no mirror in the bathroom, and so I found it very difficult to shave. I couldn't see myself to shave. But the second one I stayed in, I was sleeping, and at about 2 o'clock in the morning, a rat ran across my feet. And so I had this experience of renunciation, and I realized that if I was going to build a business in India successfully, I had to stay in better facilities, because I could have continued to stay in those very low zero-star hotels. But if I had, I might have only gone to India 5 times. But in fact, I went 44 times. And as a result of that, I created not one industry, but several. So, Khushboo, your turn. What would you like to say here?
I have nothing much to say for today. So for tomorrow we will read till slok 29, which is end of chapter 5. So in 13 to 26, we will talk about the fruit and basically fruits of your efforts. And 27 and from 27 to 29, we will talk about the meditation and basically a description of meditation and well, this word is used so negatively right now in India that I feel like not using it. It's called Bhakt, the one who worships, basically. So the duties and rituals for them.
What is the negative connotation, or do you not want to say?
It's bhakt. It's like, what is the literal translation of bhakt? Let me see. The one who worships, basically.
But you said it has a negative connotation. What?
Yeah, today, in today's time, devotee. Oh God, how can I forget this word? Devotee. The devotees of our present government are called devotees, like literally in
Okay.
Hindi, but they are
And
not voters or citizen or Indian or anything. But
they're worshippers of materialism, would it be?
well, I will not say that. They are subject of different kind of propagandas and indoctrination.
I see. Okay. So tomorrow, verses 13 to 29 of the fifth discourse. And so, Khushboo, are you going to?
Just give me a second. Yes.
Sure.
Sorry.
So Miles makes the comment, which is interesting. He says, "Where I live, the province of Alberta, is rat-free, and apparently the only place in the world that claims this. I guess the weather is not that great that rats won't live here."
Oh,
Miles
God.
lives in
I know.
Calgary, which is somewhat north from the northern United States. So it's
in Canada, ultimately.
it's in Canada, but it's up in Canada. So
Yeah.
have you seen the sun yet, Miles? The color. My father used to always joke that in northern New York, God would not stop it snowing until you were on your knees.
Yeah.
And I've seen snow in northern New York in June. So anyway, go ahead, Khushboo.
Within the infinite midst lies an eternal truth. Who sees it all? Varuna has but 1,000 eyes. Indra, 100. You and I, only 2.
And the American dollar, only one. And therefore, materialism, which is purchased with the American dollar, is a cyclops. It's only one-eyed.
I just wanted you to end on the note because today is Eid. If you can.
Yes. So Eid Mubarak to our Muslim listeners. Eid al-Fitr is the end of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan for Muslims. And so Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak.
Yeah. So peace. We'll see you later or for your early wake up.
Yes, please.
Okay, get to bed early tonight, Coach. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.